What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another CD collection update video. It's been since the beginning of the month since I've done one of these, and I think it's high time to finally get into part 2 of the stuff I got on my Toledo trip from 2 months ago. Yeah, it's taken me a couple months to get through this update. But here I am talking about everything else I got from that Toledo trip, so if you haven't seen the last video, go check that out for part 1 of stuff I got from Toledo. Now we're about to get into part 2, and we're going to kick off part 2 with Sargeist, Let the Devil In. This is the third studio full-length from this Finnish black metal band. I've heard this name come across a few times, but never really listened to them, but checked out stuff off of this, and this is some pretty nasty, murky, yet still riffy black metal. Like, it's almost like a middle ground between bands like, I don't know, bands like Marduk and maybe a little bit of Mayhem thrown into the mix, but adding in more touches of melody throughout. Like, I have to say, like, songs like A Spell to Awaken the Temple have some pretty cool melodies going on here. But while this is just blunt force trauma black metal, there's some maturity in some of the melodies and some of the riffs going on here. So I'm pretty happy that I found this. Obviously, I got to check out more Sargeist to kind of get the full scope, but this is a pretty good place to start. Alright, and then the next two, we have a pair from Sepultura. We have their 11th album, Kairos, and their 12th album, I gotta say the whole thing, The Mediator Between Head and Hands Must Be the Heart. That's a mouthful. But anyways, these are two albums from the not-so-loved Derek Green era, which I totally understand. I mean, I'm one of those Sepultura fans that only pretty much loves the Max Cavalera stuff. But I do have the last two of the Derek Green era, which I thought were really good, Machine Messiah and Quadra. So I figured, how about I just go after all the good Derek Green albums? And I think the only other good album I'm missing is Dante 21. Once I get Dante 21, I'm set when it comes to Sepultura. But Kairos, this one marked a bit of a shift in their sound, getting back to a little bit of their roots, no pun intended, back to like groove metal, thrash metal, and like moments of death metal. Like, I actually really like their cover of the song Just One Fix by Ministry. They made it sound a little more aggressive, but other great tracks like the title track, Born Strong, Embrace the Storm. Yeah, this is some pretty solid stuff right here. And this came out in 2011, so it's been a while with this one. And then with this one, with Mediator, 2013, and I'd say this one gets even more extreme with their sound. Tracks like Trauma of War, The Vatican, The Age of the Atheist, Impending Doom. Some really cool stuff on this album, and what's special about this edition is that it comes with a DVD making of the album, which I need to watch at some point. I always love when bands do that, where they add a DVD documentary. I'm always a sucker for that stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to have gotten at least 2 more good Derek Green era Sepultura albums. I just need to get Dante 21, and well, I still need to get Roots. Even if I'm not the world's biggest fan of it, I don't think it's a bad album. Once I get those 2 albums, I'm all good when it comes to Sepultura. Alright, next up we have Shed the Skin with, oh boy, I gotta learn how to pronounce this, I'm not even gonna try, Thaumogenesis. That's the best I'm gonna get it, so make fun of me all you want in the comments, it's whatever. But anyways, this is the 4th studio album from this, it's like, I want to say Ohio death metal band, even though you got members from other places, but this is primarily a project of one, Kyle Severed from Incantation, but you also have Ash Thomas from Faith Extractor and Surgikill in this band. And yeah, this is a Hell's Headbangers album, but still, even for Hell's Headbangers, this is an awesome death metal album. Like tracks like Invincible in Iron, Hounds of Aurea, Slaughtered in the Solar Eclipse. That's a pretty fun title. Blades of the Lightning Altar. Imagine that being made into a movie. Like a horror movie about churches and whatnot. But yeah, this is some pretty gnarly, nasty death metal. And Kyle Severn proves why he's such an underrated drummer and that he can just play anything and everything, essentially. So yeah, check this out. Alright, and then the next, however many, 5 that I have here are all from the same band. And this is a band I have been needing to get stuff from for a long time, and I finally have almost everything they've got, except their debut and their most recent album. I still need to get the debut in particular, but that is Skeletonwitch. So first we have their second album, Beyond the Permafrost. I mean, Skeletonwitch, awesome Ohio band, blackened thrash metal, or mellow death meets thrash metal. It's like a hybrid of blackened thrash, classic thrash, and melodic death metal. But they do that, or at least they did do that hybrid very well. I'm not a huge fan of their last album that came out 7 years ago, which we ought to get a new Skeletonwitch album and they go back to their old style. But yeah, like the title track in particular on here, it's enough to win me over when it comes to Skeletonwitch, so I was happy I found this. Then I got their third album, Breathing, it got stuck together, Breathing the Fire, which came out in 2009, and once again, just fun, solid, blackened thrash, mellow death thrash, and yeah, tracks on here in particular that I enjoyed, I would say, Release from the Catacombs, Stand Up and Die, really good stuff right here. And then their fourth album, Forever Abomination. Yeah, because sticker residue's still on these corners. But anyways, this is another worthy album in their catalog. And this was 2011. And some people might argue this being their best. I can see why. I can definitely see why. I mean, tracks like Choke Upon Betrayal of Ash and Torment, Cleaver of Souls. Just, again, Skeletonwitch being consistent. Then we have their fifth album, Serpents Unleashed, which I think is a fantastic one. And I'm glad I got the slipcover because I'm not the world's biggest fan of the cover that's on the liner notes. So this is one of the few albums where I'll keep the slipcover just to have the proper album cover with it. But yeah, this is another awesome banger of an album. The title track, Burn from Bone, Unending, Ever Living, killer stuff. And then finally I have their second EP, Apothic, or the Apothic Gloom, which is 4 tracks, but man, they kept at it. And this was 2016, I think, when this came out. So 2 years before they decided to shift their sound to, I guess you could say, atmospheric black metal, which that album doesn't work for me, but this EP definitely works for me. Hopefully, if they come back with a new album, get back to something like this. But yeah, I'm just glad that I finally got most of Skeletonwitch's discography, and maybe a discography ranking in the future. Alright, next up, we have Tribulation with Down Below. This is the 4th album from this now Swedish gothic metal band, and this was certainly one of the first albums of that era. Well, Children of the Night, the one that came before this, was definitely the big push into their more gothic metal sound after they spent their first 2 albums being an awesome death metal band. But Down Below, I remember this one got so much acclaim in 2018, like so many people had it like really high on their year-end lists, and I can certainly see why. This is some fun stuff. Lady Death, Subterranea, Lacrimosa, Cries from the Underworld. Awesome stuff, and this was definitely a good precursor, I think, to my personal favorite Tribulation album thus far, Where Gloom Becomes Sound, which I reviewed back in 2021. So yeah, I'm happy I found this. I need to get the rest of Tribulation's albums, especially their early death metal stuff, to like really get the full scope of their history. Excuse me. But yeah, killer stuff right here. Alright, and then next two is a pair from Vintersorg. We have his third album, Cosmic Genesis, and his fifth album, The Focusing Blur. So, of course, Vintersorg, if you know me through my Borknagar reviews, you would know how much I love Vintersorg's vocals in all facets. And I would say more particularly on the Cosmic Genesis, this is really where you get more of his black metal vocals mixed in with his trademark cleans. And while he's got an awesome black metal scream, I'm a huge fan of his clean vocals because he reminds me a lot of a young James Hetfield in a lot of ways. And even at times reminds me a bit of Matt Heafy from Trivium. Like, all three guys have a similar style of vocals, which I'm a huge fan of that style. But yeah, this is just some awesome, like, blackened folk prog metal on this album. I mean, tracks like Astral and Arcane, A Dialogue with the Stars, the title track. Some really fun stuff right here for like a more sci-fi vibe. Now, the Focusing Blur, this one kind of, I think, shifts a little bit away from a black metal sound and more towards like folky prog metal. Like tracks like The Essence, Star Puzzled, Blind Sight, Complexity. And of course, this was a little bit after Vintersorg joined Borknagar, so he would eventually become more busy with Borknagar, and then his solo band would start kind of doing stuff periodically. But yeah, this is still really good stuff right here. So if you love Vintersorg, check these out. Man, we're already almost through this one. So yeah, this wasn't as big of an update, but you get the idea. Next up, we have Wattain with Casus Luciferi. This is the second album from this legendary now Swedish black metal band. And, well, I've been needing to check out more Wattain, considering, you know, I have Lawless Darkness, which is a beast of an album, and I checked out the last one, and it was really good too. But I heard a lot of people say that this might be their best album, and I can certainly see why. It's definitely like, throughout all of Wattain's career, they almost sound like a middle ground band between bands like Dissection, Necrophobic, Sacramentum, and then bands like Mayhem, Gorgoroth, and Marduk. Like, kind of like a middle ground band. Like, it's aggressive as fuck, but when the melodies come in, they are so strong. And I think the roots of that flip-flop and sound would start with this. Tracks like I Am the Earth, probably one of my favorite titles, Opus Dei, The Morbid Angel. I wonder if they wanted to pay homage to Morbid Angel with that title. Puzzles of Flesh, the title track. I mean, just evil, yet at times melodic black metal that's just done excellently. So yeah, Wattain. And then finally we have, and I'm going to try hard to not zoom in too much on this, Witchfinder General's Death Penalty. Of course, this is the legendary debut album from this British classic metal / doom metal band. Like, they definitely stood out like a sore thumb out of the Nawabum scene, because while you could say they are a new wave of British heavy metal band, they also count as a doom metal band, because this album definitely feels like a continuation of early Black Sabbath, like particularly the first 4 albums, mainly the first 2, but also like a little bit of Master of Reality, a little bit of Volume 4, but done in early 80s time, and also with like a newer generation coming up. But tracks like Invisible Hate, the title track, the eponymous song Witchfinder General, Burning a Sinner, classic stuff. Like, I can't find anything wrong with this. I think this is, in my opinion, kind of a quintessential doom metal / Nawabum album, in my personal opinion. This came out in 82, so yeah, this was a little bit later in the Nawabum run, but early on in the development of doom. So it definitely kind of fits like in this no man's land between the tail end of the new wave of British heavy metal and the beginnings of doom metal. So I was really happy I found this, and of course the album cover with the chick on altar with some tits hanging out, even on the back. But yeah, awesome, awesome album. And that, ladies and gentlemen, does it for this collection update. I actually, eventually I'm going to be doing the next update since I got a pretty good stack going with that. And yeah, so let me know in the comments, what's your favorite album out of everything I revealed in this video? Of course, as far as what's coming up on the channel, you know, typical album reviews. I got the Bloodbath ranking coming up in June, which I can't wait to do that one. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.